So how far is Britain multicultural? Do we actually want to be multicultural, or should immigrants adapt to the British way of life? I mean, to answer that, we are fairly multicultural. There's mosques have been a common sight for a long time, and Indian Chinese restaurants, for example, the obvious ones. But there's still institutional racism. For example, in the Stephen Long case in the early 90s proved that some of the police anyway were still racist, and others have questioned that, is there actually a British culture anymore? And if there is, say it's a liberal, tolerant one with a premium placed on equality, how can we deal, or how do we deal with those cultures who aren't tolerant? For example, some that practice female genital mutilation, or are prejudiced against homosexuals or even women. Has multiculturalism failed? The riots in Bradford and Manchester and Oldham over race in 2001 suggest that it has. There's been controversy over madrasas, which are Muslim faith schools, saying that they are bringing up children in a predominantly Muslim way, which is not fitting in with the values of the rest of Britain. But many would argue that they are. In 2006, New Labour, brought in the Religious Hatred Act, and that was to give protection to those who have been abused because of their religion. Mainly, I guess, to give assurance to the Muslims after 7/7, who were getting a lot of antagonism because of the suicide bombers being Muslim extremists. It's been criticised for being irrelevant, as there's already laws against that sort of thing, protecting them on these grounds, and the idea of religious hatred is too imprecise. And anyway, it was watered down so much it made little real difference after it passed through Parliament, says Lynch. In 2005, there are some Danish cartoons published depicting Muhammad, which is against Muslim religion, and it's led to demonstrations in London, and there were arrests for people over being inciting people to violence and murder, and those were Muslims who were arrested. And there's always the question, why did those were people born and bred in Britain, just as the ones in 7/7 were born and bred in Britain. They're Muslim fundamentalists born in this country, blowing themselves up because they don't like the policies of this country. And 7/7 has led to tighter security, increased prices, and the potential of ID cards, although that was passed in Parliament but has never actually been brought in. In behaviour as well, between 1997 and 2007, crime and social disorder has grown, and the streets have become less safe. Knife crime is a big thing in the news, and ASBO's, antisocial behaviour orders, have been rife, and some have suggested that they even become a badge of honour for delinquent youths. Others say that we're actually becoming a surveillance society and we're being tracked all the time. Even the GPS in our cars and our phones could be used to track us. So, is society breaking down? Is it broken Britain? And if so, what are the reasons for this social breakdown? Is it either progressive thinking that led to a permissive society, where authorities now seem to be on the side of the disruptive people or the criminal? Some people have suggested it's poverty, that the deprived had to break the law. Or some have gone the other way and said that it's affluence and greed and this desire for instant gratification have caused the rise in crime. Some have even suggested that it's the decline in religion. And finally, some people say that it's the fault of the school system and education, which leads nicely onto that, which was, after all, Tony Blair's main priority in 1997, education, education, education. And has he failed in that? Did he fail? There were more teachers in 2007, better exam results year on year, but a more general feeling that the school system had let our youth down, and therefore let the country down. The comprehensive system, has it failed? If so, did it fail because it wanted equality and therefore no one should succeed more than others, so it pushes success? The fact that Labour introduced these new city academies, is that tacit understanding that the comprehensive system had failed? City academies are publicly funded independent schools which are free from local and national government control. Finally, we'll go on to the popular culture and the media, which is a huge area, but you probably know more about it than I do. And just to say that the massive technological change in the last 10 years or so has had an immense effect on society. We're in the gadget age, and more than anything, the internet has changed our lives. For example, Twitter has facilitated revolutions. There's not much historical interpretation on this because it's so close to the present time, but Andrew Marr has said one thing, which is immigration had been a constant of British life. What was new was the scale and the variety. For other historical interpretation, you're better off just going on any of the newspaper websites and they will comment on today's society quite a bit.